This glorious day, a great weekend. We thank you for all of the people who have come here to voice their opinions on different aspects of what we'll be covering on our agenda. We ask you to help us think with wisdom and that we have good, civil, and vigorous debate about the things that need to be debated. We ask all this in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Okay, I entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All righty. We'll do it as it comes, so we don't business. All right, we'll recognize the public here. Mr. Wayne Brown or Wayne Brown?
I'm Wayne Brown, at 1120 North Road, Portland. I'm here representing Oak Grove Volunteer Fire Department and the other volunteer fire departments, and that we were looking over the agenda and the ARPA money and noticed that there's some funds that's unallocated, and understanding that that money has to be allocated for projects by December. And from the volunteer fire departments, we've, for the last 3 years, have had a list of capital projects that we've been trying to get funding for, and would like for the committee to consider the volunteer fire departments for this unallocated money. It would go a long ways to meet priority items that all the volunteer fire departments have. And one specific one for Oak Grove is that recently we lost one of our pumpers, our rescue pumper, because with a major mechanical that it can't be repaired. So we're down to one engine, which is unsafe for our department. We're first off trying to find the money to replace it, because we do need it. We don't have a place right now to store it in. Of course, the county is supposed to got money funded to build the building, so that we will. So we're trying to make sure we have the money to replace this pumper when that building gets built and we have a place to put it inside. We have the money right now, we can't put it inside. But we have that one, the rescue pumper, we're called a rescue because it hauls our extrication equipment. We still have extrication equipment, but not near what we need to do. All we can do is go and start an extrication, vehicle extrication, or whatever it is. Stabilization equipment and various other equipment, it takes a lot of room on a truck. And a pumper that we use for structural fires is already packed full of what's needed on structural fires. We need both pumpers, both for structural fires and extrication. Also, if ISO comes in and looks at us right now, our rating's going to get higher, causing the homeowners' insurance rates to go up because we don't have that pumper. And our rating's based on having two pumpers. So it's definitely needed. We're going to get a used one. We need about $125,000. Will get us hopefully maybe a 15-year-old pumper, or a little less, somewhere 10, 15 years. So we'd ask that in this allocation to consider that. And there's two things that this, by replacing, getting that pumper in there now, is going to do. It's very important. One is saving the taxpayers money, so their insurance doesn't go up, and the other is saving lives.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Jim Ladder.
Thank you for letting us come and talk tonight. We'll hear about the Brown House. Want to be sure, first off, Mr. Brown left the county a tremendously wonderful gift of the money he left the county and the home that he left the county. We're here on the part of just recognizing the historic home there. That home goes back into our family. The property was bought by Jonathan Latimer, who's a veteran of the Revolutionary War. He served in the Revolution along with four of his sons at least. He was at Ticonderoga in the French and Indian War. He was at White Plains, Long Island, Saratoga, where he played a very vital part in the Battle of Saratoga. holding the flank against the Hessian and British troops who were trying to flank the Continental Army. They won that victory. The French came in on the side of the Americans after that battle, and the rest is history. He was also at the Battle of New London, Connecticut, where his former friend, Benedict Arnold, burned the town. So he served with Benedict Arnold at Saratoga, fought against him at New London. So a lot of history there. After the war, the family relocated to the Tennessee frontier. I believe probably his son-in-law, Eusebius Bushnell, came forward with a couple of his sons earlier, scouted out the territory, sent back reports to the Connecticut newspapers that this was the land of milk and honey. Didn't mention there were some people living here that considered it their property and didn't want them to settle in here. So the family moved here after that, settled. His youngest son, Jonathan, was killed at the Battle of Rock Island as the group of militia from the area here pursued a band of marauding braves. His other son, Robert, there's some question about him being killed by Indians once they got here. A third son, Wetherell, was at the Buchanan Station. If y'all are familiar with that, that's where the mass group of Indians sent 300 braves to wipe out the frontier settlement of Nashville. 15 men, along with the women there, held off that band of Indians, turned them back, and prevented Nashville from being destroyed. The Latimers stayed on their property and owned it through the first part of the last century. It passed out of family hands then, although some of the parts of the property still remain in family hands. That is a very old historic house. One of the oldest houses probably in Sumner County, built probably late 1700s, at the very minimum, very early 1800s. It's a log house, which has been veneered by brick in the years in between. I think Mr. Brown probably had it veneered. He realized, I believe, later on in life, he knew, I think, basically who built the house and who owned the house. But I think later in life, after speaking with Tommy Latimer, who you'll hear from later, who knows a lot more about the history than I do, made him aware of whose house it was, how many generations it had. He came to that house through his wife. And then when she passed, he inherited the house and was very proud of it. Tommy has some pictures that will show you the difference between the house when he lived in it and the house now. I think they're pretty remarkable, and the change the house has undergone. That house has stood there like a rock in the sea of time as time flowed around it. It's lasted over 200 years. Mr. Brown left provisions for that house to be taken care of, for that house to be maintained, for that house to be kept up. I think this is not a political argument. This is a right and wrong argument. You know, we need to honor his wishes and keep that house up and maintain it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Elizabeth Michael.
This is Elizabeth Michael. Some of you have heard me speak before, and I know you probably noticed I did not call William Mr. There's a reason. William was my cousin. And in everything I've seen, nobody has bothered to ask the family about anything, because all I've heard in all the posts and all the comments is there's no family left. Yes, there is, just nobody's looking. And I'm not the only one, I just haven't found anybody else yet. And I'm looking. I'm trying to track them down. I got one thing to say about everybody here. The ones who I'm speaking to directly know who I'm speaking to. We did an invocation before this all started. Knowledge is what you know. Wisdom is how you use it. And you asked for us to do this in wisdom. Okay? This is a problem of right and wrong. William's will says one thing. And those who knew William said before, when he wanted something done, he wanted it done that way, not this way. My grandmother knew William. And she said something had to have been done or said to him for him to even come up with this codicil. I believe her. Now, I can't say who said what or who did what, but I believe her. She said something was always fishy about that. Well, so what? I think something's very fishy about that, because nobody's mentioning what the will was like before the codicil. However, now we're dealing with the codicil. Right and wrong. Wisdom, knowledge. Right and wrong. This needs to be done the way William wanted it. And I'm here to tell you from a family perspective, if it is not done the way William wanted it, You guys are not gonna like the consequences. Now, last time I named names, and I'm gonna name names again. Yes, Del Phillips and Mr. Wolf. But now I'm adding Isabel and Langford. And I will add anyone else that's gonna cause a problem. One word. Comply. Or else. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Miss Diane Stinson.
I'm Diane Stinson, and I'm the Latimer family. Charles Latimer, who built the home in the late 1790s, was my fifth great-grandfather. I do not know Mr. Brown, but I appreciate that he recognized that this was an important home, and wanted it to be kept up and serve a purpose for the public. He wanted it to be a centerpiece of this park, and it seems that all of the attention had been moved to all the grandeur that this park could be, amphitheaters and all this, but the house is sitting empty and falling apart while we're coming upon 8 years since Mr. Brown passed away. Something needs to be done now. We can put a couple of benches out front and make it a park. The house needs to be taken care of now. If there's money later, then something else can be done. But the house has to be the center of this park. I don't know. I just hope that this does not turn into what they call the little rats that take the pennies and the shiny things. I hope this is not taking the pennies off of this dead man's eyes.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Tommy Lattin.
Thank you. I'm Tommy Latimer, 264 Hesperella, Portland. I'm, I guess, the unofficial Latimer historian. We've been having family get-together for a number of years now. And I met Mr. Brown. I won't say a lot about the Latimers because she'd be pretty much covered. I met Mr. Brown in probably 97 or 98. Miss Marshall was still living. He's Bill Brown William was Bill. And I've been to his house lots of times. We would sit out on the patio and talk. And he told me what he was going to do with the house. He was going to give the property to the school, and they were going to maintain the house. Because I had suggested one time before that he put it on the historical register. And he said, no, I'm not going to do that. Nobody's going to come in here and tell me what I can do with my own house, or in my own house. But I went down there last week, and I made some pictures of the house, compared it to the pictures I had earlier. If anybody would like to see them, I have them. They're black and white. My copier ran out of ink, so I had to do it in black and white. But if you want to look at them, the top picture was what the county got, and the bottom pictures looked at it.
Thank you, sir. Cynthia McClard.
Hello, my name is Cynthia. My name is Cynthia McClard. I live at 102 Tioga Trail, Hendersonville, Tennessee, and that is adjacent to Farm Brown. That's what I knew it as. We've lived there for 34 years. That's what I knew it as. The Brown Farm. We raised our kids there. They had a huge farm, lots of cows. They never had any children though. They loved kids. They loved kids. So I offered them to adopt my boys. I have 3 of them. They didn't take me up on it, but I said, okay. Anyway, I just recently retired from 40 years at a Fortune 500 healthcare company here in Nashville. I've done everything from an auditor to finance to policies and procedures to a plain old accounting, debits and credits, general ledger. I'm also on the board of directors, an officer on the board of directors at a 501(c) here in Sumner County. So I'm well versed with not only accounting procedures, but I'm well versed with wills and grants. Does everybody know what the meaning of the word codicil means? If you don't, let me know. Well, okay, never mind, I'll just read it. Mr. Brown's codicil. And this is Codicil 1, B1. I specifically bequeath to Sumner County, Tennessee, the county, the cash sum of $500,000 to establish, maintain a public park located at 212 Hunters Lane, Hendersonville, Tennessee, which is right next door to where I live. With the historic home that dates back, I didn't know, back to the late 1700s. This historic home, currently situated thereon, being permanently maintained by the county as the park's centerpiece. The park shall be known as the William and Martha Brown Park, period. Nothing else. I've seen a lot of stuff on Facebook going around. Well, it was supposed to have been known as this, and it's known as this. No, his codicil says, the park shall be known as the William and Martha Brown Park. This bequest shall be held in a restricted fund. Does everybody know what a restricted fund is? Okay, I'm assuming you do, or else you wouldn't be on the board. In a separate account. Now, let me ask you this. You know what a separate account is? It goes back to your general ledger, accounting, policies and procedures, a separate account. I have a feeling, as an auditor, the money was never put into a separate account. Now, in the meantime, let me finish out the paragraph. Let me finish out the codicil. And used solely for the purposes of the establishment, promotion, ongoing support, and maintenance of the William and Martha Brown Park. That's the codicil. That's the last thing that ever happened. Mr. Brown passed away in 2017. And it's not only unfortunate that his codicil hasn't been carried out, but in my opinion, as an auditor, it's unlawful. I'm not shy about going down to the state of Tennessee Department of the Comptroller's Office. I'll give them all of the paperwork that they need. The Comptroller's Office can perform their own audit of the money. We'll start with let's see, what makes up the $1.25 million for, and I don't know who did the project budget, but it's not even headed correctly. There's no signature, there's no date, it just says project budget, and it's on a spreadsheet. This is ridiculous. Well, okay, let's go back to my question. $1.25 million. Let's begin with the $500,000 from Mr. Brown. That's the starting point. Wait, there's a grant that matched the $500,000. A plus B equals C. Okay, wait. There's $125,000 that was also granted if Sumner County could come up with an additional $125,000. That's taxpayers' money. The 125 was taxpayers' money out of the taxpayers' fund. Did y'all know that? So now we have A plus B plus C plus D equals, $1.250 billion going to the park project. No mention of his house. The council states house as the centerpiece of the park. And like I said, we live right next door. We go in there and look at the house all the time when we're a gator. I mean, we're country people. Even though I was in Nashville all of my life, we're still country people. And I go in there and look at them and look at the house. It's like, no, nothing's been done. Nothing's been done. Nothing's been done. It's embarrassing for a group of people like you to treat the house, his home, that he gave to Sumner County like this. It's embarrassing. So let's go ahead. Some of the things that are on the park project. Okay, y'all know what's on the park project. Y'all know. I'm not even going to mention it. I'm not going to go there. I will say this. The first item of the agenda for the park project, whoever does the little spreadsheet for the park should be his home. That's where it all started. That's the park. That's his home. And he wanted his home to be the centerpiece of the park. I have one last thing to say. To those voting on the budget, I have a quote by W. Clement Stone. Have the courage to say no. Have the courage to face the truth. Do the right thing because it's right. These are the magic keys to living your life with integrity. Now, for you, Mr. Isbell,
And please don't point somebody individually.
okay, I want to teach the farming on there. There's a quote for you, because I researched my quotes, because like I said, I'm a researcher. Billy Brown quoted this: the greatest legacy one can pass on to one's children and grandchildren is not money, but rather a legacy of character and faith. Keep the legacy going. All of you, keep the legacy, the wishes of Mr. Brown. I'm not a family member. I'm here to respect Mr. Brown. I would expect the same thing for me if it was any of you. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Mike McClark.
Mike McClark, 102 Tioga Trail. I'm not sure I can be as emotional as she can, but we have lived beside the farm for 34 years. The fence is the only thing that separated us and the cows. I met Mr. Brown a few times, most of the time under the trees where the cows were, and he was checking on them and I was mowing. But he struck me as the kind of guy, didn't know him well, I'll be very honest, but he struck me as the kind of guy that when he wanted something done his way, it's pretty much what he wanted. He didn't want any sidetracking. But, this problem all started in the previous administration, and it's not being corrected by the current administration. So, it starts somewhere. Somebody's got to fix it. The money was used, the $500,000 was used as the matching fund for the mega park. With the mega park, as Cindy said, the budget shows absolutely nothing about the house. Nothing. But that's where the funds sit there for 7 years. As far as I can tell, nothing's been done, and I haven't seen the pictures that he put back. I know what it looked like when he did, and I know what it looks like today. The only thing I can tell has been done, the windows have been boarded up. Somebody has gone in there and cut out about a foot by 2 foot, hole in the wall to see where I'm assuming they were checking to see if there's actually logs under there, and there are. But when they finished that, they didn't put it back. So there's a hole in the wall on the side of the house that has been open to bugs, critters, whatever you could imagine has crawled in there. Don't know for certain, but I'm pretty sure no one has ever done any termite damage checking on that place or any remediation of it. So, it's just going to sit there and fall apart. And, as we do in our government, it seems to me like we wait till something's too far gone to correct, and then it's gone. And that's what's happened in Sumner County, house after house after house of these old homes that have been there for hundreds of years are just left and destroyed. They just fall in on themselves, which isn't right. A few weeks ago, the cross-country team at Liberty Creek was thrown into the mix because if this wasn't funded and all this money was taken care of to build this park, they were going to lose they weren't going to be able to have a cross-country team. Well, their cross-country team is running up and down the road, and we passed 30 of them on the way over here. And I checked to see what TSSAA considers a cross-country track. It's held on outdoor courses that are mostly open country, fields, parks, golf courses, and grasslands. Paved roads should be avoided. There's 200-something acres in there that they can run all over the place. All you gotta do is mark it and run a lawnmower over it, and they can just sit there and run all day long. I checked that with my niece, who ran track at Galveston for 4 years, and they ran on a farm and a park. Not a park, a golf course. It was a farm and a golf course. A mega park would be nice, and that's fine. That can be built down the road. But, to take care of the house is the main thing. And let's honor Mr. Brown's will, stabilize, repair, and maintain the house like his wishes and his money. I'm talking his money here. One other thing, matching $500,000, which somebody said, well, we don't want to lose that because it's a gift. It's not a gift, it's taxpayer money. We all pay for it. So, do the right thing, guys and ladies.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Anthony Jones.
My name is Anthony Jones. I live at 429 Upper Station, Creek Road, County. My place joins Mr. Brown. I want to thank you for allowing me to talk. One of the things I want to start with is years ago I interviewed for a job. They asked me to write to the man to see if I would like what he does. So I told him, I said, okay, all right. The first thing the man told me was, when I get up and shave every morning, I look in the mirror and I look at myself. I said, why am I doing this? The reason is kids, my family. So that's what we're talking about. Each one of you in this room have family of some kind, whether it's your kids or kids that you've adopted, you take care of. So that's why we're here, is the kids. So not only just the kids that attend Liberty Creek, but it needs to be for all the young kids, all of them. So don't specialize just for Liberty Creek. Do it for everybody, equal. I hope you abide by Mr. Brown's wishes. Restore the house. If you want a park, start in a smaller scale. 80 acres is a lot of ground to cover. That's what I've been told is what the park used to be, it's 80 acres. The other thing I want you to think about is maintenance. Whether it's $500,000 or $1.2 million or whatever it may be, that's not going to go very far on maintaining 80 acres from now on. So you need to go back and think about the responsibilities. Who's going to take care of it? Is it going to be the county or is it going to be the county school system? If you approve this, it needs to be on the county school system. And then you need to think about, what am I going to do in Portland? What am I going to do in Western Ward? And the other communities that each one of you represent. You were voted into this position. Think of the members in your committee or in your community that you represent, that you see on a daily basis. What am I doing for the betterment of this county? That's what we're after. I've been a resident in this county for almost 60 years. That's a long time. I've seen a lot of changes. So make the right changes, make the right decisions. That falls on y'all. I wouldn't want that burden. I wouldn't want that stress. $200 million in debt. If I was 1/10 of that, I would not sleep at night. So think about the money that you're spending or they're allocating for this project. Take care of Mr. Brown's house first. Do about his wishes. Because if you don't, the next person down the pipe that is thinking about, I want to donate and make a legacy. Legacy came up quite a bit. I'm not going to leave the county a legacy. Stand on, because they're not going to do it the way it should have been designed, the way it was written. So that's what I want to encourage you to do. What I do like to see is these people back here with these shirts on. If they need money, give them the money they need to do their job. I've been thinking about the fire department a long time. I'm on Cottontown. How long is it going to take Cottontown to come 4 miles to me? 5 miles from Cottontown Post Office. How long, if I catch on fire, how long is it going to take them to get to the fire department, then get to me? You need more volunteer fire departments. We're developing this county and building houses everywhere we can find a dry spot of ground. If somebody is enticed by the dollar, put the dollar aside. Think about your neighbors. Think about them. I want to see more volunteer fire departments. Give them what they need. I hate to think I sit there and my house burns down because the county fire department, volunteer fire department, all of them can get together, or if they don't have the right equipment to come to us, then we got a problem. So every day, I see the Galveston Fire Department and the Galveston Police Department going to Liberty Creek schools. And I'm trying to figure out, they're in the county. How is the city fire department coming up there to Liberty Creek schools almost on a daily basis? How does that happen? If my house catches on fire and I'm right next door, y'all, the fire department's not very far from me on Big Station County. They're not going to come to me. I've got to rely on contact. So with that, I need help. Think about what we're talking about today. Real serious. And remember, you shave yourself in the morning. Some of us don't shave. Okay? Some of us only partly shave. But you think about those things. That's why I'm doing this. It's the kids. For me, it's my not only my kids, but now it's my grandkids. There's nothing I wouldn't do for any of them. So with that, that's why we do what we do on a daily basis. Everybody wants you to be more successful than yourself. But my dad always told me, look at the people that are more successful than you are and pattern yourself after them. And try to make yourself a better person. He was not a lot on words, but when he spoke, you better listen. And I've had, since he's passed away, I've had so many people come up to me and tell me, I miss your dad because of his tones, the way he felt. So take care of these folks back here. Not only the fire, but the sheriff's department. Every department you're dealing with, the road superintendent, every one of them, they have their needs just like everyone else. So I'm trying to meet all of them conscientiously. It's mind-boggling. 80 acres, I don't think the park is needed in 80 acres. You may set aside 80 acres and thinking, okay, let's do this in baby steps. I don't know about you, but crawl before you walk, before you run. You don't do it all at one time. So let's don't run and approve the park. Abide by Mr. Brown's wishes, but do it in baby steps. And if you do this, if you do approve the park, I want you to keep it in the back of your mind. I'm going to do it in Portland. I'm going to do it in Westmoreland. I'm going to do it in White House, Gallup, Hendersonville, every community that is represented in this room. That you represent those people in those communities. Listen to them. You may not agree with them, but you've got to think they're the ones that elected you to your job. And you're at a thankless job. You're at a very thankless job. I, for one, thank every one of them. I appreciate every one of them. And I also have a great deal of respect, as I mentioned to him 2 weeks ago. Those are the people that you want to admire. When you walk in this building, I want you to stick your chest out high. Look at the pictures on the wall and see all the people that have came before you. And think, one day I can only hope that my picture's on that wall, that I'm up there with the rest of them that have been here for generations. You want to leave a legacy as you go back to it. You leave a legacy of that I made a change. I did good for the county. That's what you're after. Make yourself known as to who you are and why you're here and why you're sacrificing your time away from your family and doing things you want to do instead of sitting in a boardroom or sitting in a committee meeting. Remember, family is first. And without them, everything else fails. Think of your kids. And when you get home tonight, and if you've got children in your house, you reach up there and you go kiss them and hug on them. You tell them how much you love them. Because that's why you're here. That's the reason you're here. So, if you want to build a school like Liberty Creek, build them other schools that are patterned after it. Don't make it the one and only. Do it for all of them. There should be no favoritism at all between any of the county commissioners as to what I would want at in my neighborhood. That's what you're after. So, fix Mr. Brown's house. Do by his wishes. You can only dream and wish that you're going to hit the lottery and somebody gave you $8 million and what am I going to do with it? You do not what he asked. That's what you do. So, fix Mr. Brown's house. The rest of it will fall into place. Think of why you're doing it. The reason behind it. I'm taking up my time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Laura Baker.
Laura Baker, 1480 Lee Road. When I was preparing for tonight, like usual, those of you who know, had all the documents together, the will, the council, the deed, the MOU, the park plan, the grant, and everything, much of which was discussed almost 2 weeks ago at the Center Operations Committee. And I thought about how to make an impression on all of you to listen to these people. I thought, isn't it terrible? They have to think about how to have people listen. Our wonderful state constitution says that all power is inherent in the people. And I knew tonight that there would be a move. Well, there would be a move to try to reduce the amount of time for these people to speak. And I was going to bring up that that's not even in the rules. And I appreciate, Mr. Chairman, you not cutting people off. Because us being here tonight, the government being instituted for the common benefit, the doctrine of non-resistance against arbitrary power and oppression is absurd, slavish, and destructive of the good and happiness of mankind. You have an agenda before you that has a lot of stuff put on here by other politicians and bureaucrats, but you're here to do the people's work. And the people are here, and they want you to listen and to review these documents. And I know it's hard. We spent a lot of time over the last couple of weeks. Some commissioners have spent days, hours, days, weeks, I don't even know how long, going through this stuff with a fine-tooth comb. And you know, something that bothers me a lot, I realize, one of the roots of my displeasure with this whole process is that Mr. Brown gave $8 million to the schools for technology. That's 4,000 years of my tax bill. If you won't listen to him, how do the rest of us stand a chance about anything that comes before you that we express our opinion about? And you know, Mr. Chairman, you ask all the time, what will break? I'll tell you what will break. If you don't do your diligence on this and follow this man's wishes, our Republican form of government is going to break. The one that our founders gave us through a constitutional republic. And I know I'm getting emotional, but we've been at this for 10 years, and we've been at this one issue since 2015, when the purchase of this land was all suspect. And there's so many things, if you took the time that we took to go through this line by line and look at what's going on here, we're being fed a bunch of lies. Stop listening to people and read the papers yourself. And until you do that, you shouldn't vote on anything. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Kevin Baker.
How do I look that one up? Are we having fun yet? You know, I heard my wife quote Richard Archie, or the Tennessee Constitution. You almost do it as well as he does. But listen, I'm not going to go through line by line all the issues that we have with what's going on with the Brown house. The house needs to be fixed. It needs to be put at the top of the list. It needs to be stabilized and then put at the centerpiece of this park. And I'm gonna help you out with a little bit of this. Send this back to Gen Ops. There's so many issues. You really need to start over. And when I say start over, Laura's right. There are people in this room that were with us in 2015 when we had issues. And you know who you are with this property. There are issues with this whole process that need to be fixed and done correctly. We can do that starting tonight by sending it back to Gen Ops. Let them do the diligence, go through and create all of the paperwork the way it's supposed to be done by state law. Okay? Create an ad hoc committee if that's what it takes. You've got a bunch of people here that I bet would be more than willing to sit on that and help you all out with how to do it. Okay? But you've got to start over. There are so many issues right from the get-go with this property and what was done. And that needs to be fixed before we can go forward. But anyhow, so I had some other things I wanted to talk about in the budget committee. So somebody had a great idea of buying a new trailer instead of maybe renting an RV. I think that's a great concept. Maybe you ought to look at that. You know, you could buy a travel trailer for about $50,000, and when it's all said and done, after you're done using it for the EMS people to stay in, you can either sell it or use it for another opportunity when this comes up, okay? But you could recoup a bunch of that money instead of spending money renting something over and over and over and over. The other issue that I had was with the transfer between major categories. The request from Mayor Isbell to assign grant accountant from the finance department to the mayor's office? Absolutely not. The mayor's office is the executive branch of this government. You folks are tasked with the money, okay? An accountant needs to be reporting into all you all, so you can keep track of things. Part of the reason why we are the way we are with the Brown house is because nobody was really watching what was going on. We need to do a better job of that. So I wanted to give you those ideas for you. So send the Brown house back to the Gen Ops. Consider the trailer, and no for the county finance, the grant administrator. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. That concludes citizen comments. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from August 4th.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? One abstention, Mr. Becker. Okay, I have one item on my report, and maybe something that we can, I don't know if we need to do it now, Mr. Long, I may hand it to you. I believe there are some holdback funds for county employees based on the timing of how we were paying them. My understanding is that in order to correct this, it's about $270,000 that we may need to appropriate. But Mr. Long, can you go ahead and give us some detail on that?
Right now, it's been going on for many years, and it's been discussed, and it creates a lot of issues on payroll. It's going to make automation very difficult to impossible, and makes payments as far as auditing more difficult and to keeping up with it. It would take about $272,000. There's employees, when they're paid on a Thursday, they're paid to the following Friday, so they're actually paid in advance. There's about 181 of them, and there's no holdback at all, so there's no way to process it. I've been mentioning it since 2009. There's been multiple discussions about it, so my biggest recommendation for your internal controls and long-term operations in the county, that needs to be corrected at some point. Talking to, I believe it was it Rutherford, the city? What's the city in Rutherford that we talked about? Murfreesboro, and also somebody from the state of Tennessee. What they did was they actually gave the employees the funds for the one-time holdback.
So that's your recommendation here?
That, because I think it's going to be a bigger issue on employee morale if you hold a day of payback. But got it. Mine is about $272,000. That may be something you want to send back.
Motion to discuss.
Motion to discuss.
All in favor? Aye. Mr. Klein?
Nay.
Mr. Klein?
So this is, we're talking about paying 170 employees
181. And what my discussion is,
one day?
1 week. If you take that and basically drop in 1 week of extra time, then it'll give them a holdback. What it's going to do is have a budgetary impact. They won't technically be paid any cash until they retire, leave, or quit, or terminate, die, whatever happens.
Okay, so effectively, this is an extra week of pay when they retire.
Right.
And as it stands right now, we're just hoping and praying they come into work the next week. And if they quit.
And we've had that more than one time. We went to court a couple of times.
Motion to, here's what I'm going to do.
Well, we eat breakfast now.
I'm going to make a, you're in queue, do you want to?
No, that's what
I'm going to make a motion to appropriate $272,000 for holdback funds for county employees.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
May I just add, financial management will need to.
Yes, I'm assuming
Just
that.
got it all business.
Yes.
Let me be clear one thing. Anything tonight, you'll need to sign your old business. If it's over $5,000, you'll need to waive the second reading if you want us to go on the commission floor, and I'll try to go over which items are already on the commission floor.
Well, let me ask a question here. Do we need to waive the second reading on this?
I would not understand the financial management. We'll look at the details, and then they can get it back to next.
Got it. Mr. Mayor, your report?
No report.
Okay, Mr. Line, go ahead and.
I'll try to go through it briefly, and I know there's been a lot of discussions tonight, and some of the perceptions may be not 100% correct. One, the county has not received $500,000. We've never received the $500,000. It's not in our hands. But let me go over the pieces that I have actually in the report right now. Part number one is actually the state statute that allows the county to receive these funds. It's very clear on a couple of things. Number one, and I highlighted some of the yellow parts, is you are authorized to accept the funds. Number two, if they are subject to restrictions, if these funds were, then the gift must be accepted by majority vote of the legislative body, and they must be used by the terms and such conditions as taken. So that means if the county does receive the money, we will put it into a restricted account. Number two, the county commission needs to follow whatever the restrictions are. The second item I have here is actually the resolution where the grant was originally approved. The county commission did vote on the grant, but as you can read and you can draw your own conclusions, it does not mention anything about restrictions on these funds. The next item I have in here, it's on page 21, is the actual codicil that was discussed. And going through this really quickly, it makes up a couple of things. One, $500,000 is to be given to the county. It says it's to establish and maintain a public park with the current home situated permanently maintained by the county at the centerpiece of the park. And then the next item is the money shall be given to the county, and it shall be restricted for one of three purposes: establishment, promotion, ongoing support, or maintenance of the house. So the $500,000 is from the codicil, and that's its restriction. The next item of the items that I brought forward is the actual original part overlay, and I highlighted some of the important areas, and you can go through here, which I later asked is the actual section for the house on the overlay, and it's on page, well, let me get down to it. It's on page 39, the important ones, and on page 38, 39 is the most important. It's where I highlighted, it actually says excluded area Brown family home from the actual overlay that was actually from the National Park Service from the Department of Interior for the grant. The next item, because there was some discussions, I was trying to make sure we get information out. Last month of the grant was pennies on the dollar. It is a 50-50 match grant. And this has went down from several things, and we've discussed it here before. There was originally $100,000 allocated out for a park plan. $91,000 of that was spent. The original grant came back for $500,000, was $500,000 from the codicil, and we didn't have all the information, or $500,000 from the wheel. Later, $125,000 was amended into the grant, and $125,000 of local capital, which is property tax, was used to match the grant. This is the thing, just to make sure, since that it was passed out on the commission's table, and since they did do the work to give you guys the information, I'm going to put it on the official records because the mayor and the rest of them worked on that. And the last one's the email, the second to last item, is the actual email confirming that currently, as the grant sits, it does not include restoration or perpetual maintenance of the house, which that's my interpretation of the codicil, but you'll have to draw your own interpretation. And then the last item is the transfer sheets for the potential transfers. That's what we have on our books, but since we received the information, my biggest reservation is the $500,000 there does not appear that the county commission has done two things. One, voted to accept the funds with the restrictions as a majority voted, and number two, it doesn't look like the grant includes the house or the restoration.
So I'm going to go ahead and make a note here, and then we can do what we want with it, but I have a suggestion. So I had a conversation with Mayor Isbell, a couple conversations on this, and the thrust of it went as follows. I actually tried to get this, seeing the state of the house being dilapidated, during the last commission meeting, I was going to make this amendment so that we could get moving on it, but this was the thrust of my conversation with Mayor Isbell, and I believe he's trying to make some changes with TDEC to the grant application in order to affect it. So one was that the house, in keeping with the will, the priority of funding would be to the homes, to bring the home up to a reparable and serviceable state. So that was item number one. Item number two is that the county would immediately receive the funds in order to begin to execute this. So the funds would, in accordance with the will, come to the county. We would execute the will such that we can bring the home up to speed and build a park such that it is. We'd like to. I think if we can get the funding, that would be good to have. I would like to not miss out on the funding, but also we want to make sure to abide by the wishes of Mr. Brown. And number three, in an ideal state, and I think this one may be difficult with the grant side of it, but an ideal scenario here would be to set aside some amount of funds for ongoing maintenance. We would not be able to, no fund is going to last forever, but at least give such funds that we could put out, 6, 8, 10 years within this amount of money that we are going to have between the funds that we've received from the will and the grant. So those are the things that Mr. Isbell and I spoke about, and I personally don't see this going anywhere without getting some of these things accomplished. So Mayor Isbell called me today, let me know he's speaking with TDEC. Given that is underway, and given that we've given ourselves till October to do it, I don't know that we have anything back from TDEC yet, Mr. Isbell. So my take on this is that we should move this to old business. We know what we're shooting for here, and see what TDEC comes back with, and take care of it next time around. But if there's a motion to discuss,
by the point of information,
go ahead.
I want to make sure also the committee is aware that out of the 125 and part of the grant, that approximately $128,000 has already been spent on architectural engineering.
Got it.
Make sure you are there.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that this gets referred back to general operations until such time that the $500,000 is released to the county commission. And based on the fact that the grant can be changed, and there's a good possibility that that can happen, to include the house as the primary, the primary usage of the money is on the house, and that the park, with the balance, will be used to fund certain things on the park. There are so many issues that I don't think they should go into old business. I think they should be figured out between the mayor's office and general operations. There have been so many partial truths or non-facts that have been brought forward, and I would like to go on the record as asking a few questions that need to be responded to. Number one, who determined the size of the public park? Because it was 88 acres was never mentioned in the codicil. It's a huge park. I mow 3 acres a week, and it takes me about 45 minutes an acre. That would mean that it takes 40 hours a week just to mow that entire park. That's a big maintenance cost. That doesn't include tree trimming or anything else that needs to happen. So we need to find out who determined the size of the park and why it was that big. Number two, who determined the scope and the plans that we have from the architectural firm. Number three, who transferred the money from the estate to an account that the commission was supposed to have control of and never did. Number four, the trustees, in a response to Mr. Sittler from March 9th, 2024, the statement in that letter says there's a fiduciary responsibility for the trustees to ensure the park is built as intended. Well, the codicil doesn't say how the park is intended to be built. And number two, the trustees had nothing to do with codicil number one. So we need to find out why that appears to be something that the trustees believe is going on. Number five, where is the money currently? And number six, when was the account set up that money is in? So for the record, I would like to know those 6 items.
Does that have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion and second. I'm going to get in queue, and I'm going to tell you why I'm against it. My main reason for being against it, I agree with all the things you said, and I actually think there's nothing that means GenOps couldn't bring this up in parallel. My primary concern here, and it's made evident, well, 2 things. One, it's made evident in the pictures. The house is continuously going downhill. So the further we delay, it just kicks the can down down the curb. So I don't see any reason why we can't get those things answered in parallel with trying to take action on the house. And the second reason for it is that I think if we did this, we would be trying to countermand the will of the full commission. When we voted on this, we said we would bring this back October 1st. So that was the will of the commission. And we did that in order to see something done with this property. So I agree with all the questions you had. I mean, I just don't want to see it held up, so that's why I'm going to be against it.
In 60 days, you won't meet it on the next meeting.
Mr. Becker?
Yeah, I was just going to mention the October commission meeting is when it goes back to the full commission, no later than that. Either tonight or then.
Mr. Sidler?
Some of this is getting the cart in front of the horse. I think the county needs to get the $500,000. The resolution needs to be done so that you can do all of the things you're talking about doing.
That was
all this now is preliminary to getting yourself in a position to where you're saying, all right, we're accepting responsibility, we're accepting the terms, here's the money, then you move the money where you want it to go as far as maintaining the house.
Of note, that was the second item I had on there, in order to move it forward. But any other questions on this? Go ahead, Ms. Boyd.
Is there anything at all preventing us from sending maintenance out to the house right now? I mean, we have a maintenance department, the school has a maintenance department. Is there anything at all that's holding us up?
We'd have to.
I mean, they're payroll, they're our employees, they maintain our building.
yes, but
We've appropriated for them to do this.
the house is in bad enough shape that we would want to have somebody to go look at it, I think, first. But Mr. Mayor, we could send somebody out there, but, beyond regular routine maintenance, mowing, that type of thing versus structural changes, we wouldn't want to do that.
The biggest threat to the house is trees that are encroaching on the building structure. Yes, the front columns of the porch are rotting in place from the ground up. Don't know that there's any problems inside the house. Don't know that there isn't. But the structure seems firm enough to last a few more months. I don't think we're talking about a collapse. But to your first point that you made, if we send it back to general operations and the mayor is able to talk to TDEC and get the house put on the grant, we still have time to approve that in general ops, go through budget, and be before the county commission next month.
Any other notes on it?
So while we're on the brown part, as I'm reading through these, I'm pretty sure I saw in there that the commission gets a report on the truck. I know that the school has it for technology trucks, but I'd like to know when the commission's going to get a report on that, because I believe I read that in these documents.
Okay. Mr. Becker?
We cannot send it to Gen Ops. If Gen Ops, like you said, if Gen Ops wants to add it to their agenda, so be it, but we can't.
Why not?
Because the full commission
Is mandated to be heard in October.
Correct.
20 to 30.
We can't hold it up.
Send it to budget.
So
it was sent to budget 20 to 30.
But that's the point I just made, is that it can still go to Gen Ops, it can go to budget, and it can go to the next commission.
I think I'm going to echo Mr. Hyde here.
I
think we've got people's minds are on this one way or the other. Any other discussion on it? All in favor? Can you restate your?
Yes. I want to refer it back to Gen Ops with the 6 requirements on the record until the point that we get the $500,000 released to the county commission and the 6 points.
Second, good with that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No. Okay, motion's 3-3, motion fails. Okay, given that TDEC, is there any other thing to be done with this?
My suggestion is leave it here.
Move it to old business.
Move it to old business, and let's get the information we need.
I agree.
And Gen Ops can talk about it in theirs, but 6 points, there's no reason they can't.
I agree.
And then
Leave it as caption.
they'll have more information.
Any other discussion
I
on
have
this?
a motion.
Go ahead.
I would like to make a motion that we send our maintenance people out to give us some kind of general appraisal of what needs to be done. I mean, maybe it's not the professional you want, but we need to know where we're at. And I'm just asking for the people on our staff and our maintenance, and we have several, to go out, and at this next meeting, I want to hear a general overview. I mean, if it's just, let's fix the door that was broken through when they were doing the manhunt. I mean, that would be a good, just some general, like, what's going on, what we look at.
Ask the mayor to give us.
That's fine. Do we need to take a vote?
No.
Mr. Mayor, can you get somebody else, make it, and just get a general, okay.
So
Just get a general assessment before we make a decision on this. All right, thank you. Any other discussion on this? All right, Mr. Long, item B.
Item B is the hearings on the 12th, and Mr. Isabel provided a listing that I can pass out of the requests from the different departments. We don't have the line items tonight, but we do have the amounts. Is something you want to consider, wait till you get more information?
I would like to take, this is, can we just, oh, here you go. Yeah, sorry. So, Mr. Long, Ron, do you have anything else on this one?
We don't have the individual line items that was provided.
I had received some individual line items from the sheriff's department.
Generally, we need those to,
we
may want to put it under old business to get the line items for next week.
So, we can do that, but I'd actually like to take, because I made several motions on the sheriff's department one specifically, and I would like to go ahead and try to take care of that one. So I'm going to make a motion here, and I think the amount is around $220,000.
He's got 271 on the sheet.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. So, and I'll tell you what this is for. The others, I'm happy to move to all business, but the reason I want to take care of this one is because there is a very specific problem that happened, and I brought it up 3 times. What we did when we made the changes to the sheriff's department salaries was take everybody who made $10,000 and $10,001 and cut it by half. So if you made $10,000, if you were getting a raise of $10,001, you're now getting a raise of $5,000.50. But if you were making if you were getting a raise of $9,950, you're getting a raise of $9,950. So this is designed to solve that problem. So I would like to take a motion to appropriate this amount because it's for a very specific thing. That's my motion, to appropriate $271,000.
Put on the resolution for the line items to be provided by the sheriff's department.
Yes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Becker.
I don't remember the exact number, but I don't think all 271,000 is needed just for this one raise thing. I think there is like a trainer, like an additional trainer. I can't recall.
I think
unless that was on top of the 271.
Can we,
You got
more information
You know what I'm
would be
saying?
nice.
Is Mr. Craddock?
To me, text him or be right there.
I mean, I may be wrong. I know there was.
You may be right, actually. You may be right on that.
Trainer and another, there it is.
Okay, Mr. Craddock, yeah, motion,
No.
second, all in favor? Okay, Mr. Craddock, on this $271,000, we were talking earlier, I made the comment about the issue that we had with the pay scales. Of that $271,000, is that just that, or are there additional roles within the $271,000?
It's just the pay scale. After I talked with you and we kind of hashed out general, we did not add the extra position.
Is it the 271 Eric or something? Somebody has 271, is it or something lower?
271. My number's 285, 194, 64, but 271, I don't even.
So the other positions are completely.
This is for no new positions. That's what I thought. I just wanted to be.
Yeah,
I didn't have you and I had discussed that, and I didn't have it in front of me. So
appreciate
okay.
it. Motion or sorry.
See, there's motion made.
Wait, second reading?
Yes, I'd like to waive second reading on that.
You need a resolution or something?
I mean, I would just like more detail. I would like to see something more than this. But I understand what you're saying, but I don't see any.
If he provides us the details, because he will after the fact, and the items can we email to Ms.
I'll make it subject to I'll make just to be here, the $271,000 approved, subject to this committee receiving line item breakout of the $271,000.
We just don't waive the second reading, we do the same thing.
Oh, there we go.
You have enough to make copies.
I can run make copies.
But she can get a copy of it.
I mean, I would just, go ahead. There's not time to review.
I mean, we don't have to waive this.
The only, if we.
I just, let me give my reasoning here. We got guys.
Will we be doing, we'll be doing that on top of
That is
that?
Social Security, Medicare.
Do we need more?
Yeah.
We need more. Because we're gonna cover
Social Security, Medicare, and
retirement.
And Social Security, Medicare.
We're gonna need, what, 15% more?
We're gonna just look at it, see, maybe I'm,
The rules are set.
This is just the difference in the base salary, correct?
Yeah, so you have to do about 20% on that.
765 and 1369. 769. I'm sorry.
I understand the need to get this out, but maybe some more time spent
So-
looking at it.
Here's what we can do, just to give, because what I want to do is signal to folks that this is moving forward. So I won't waive the second reading. Just appropriate $300,000. I'm gonna change mine up to appropriate $300,000 toward this. It's no new positions. It's just to correct this particular issue. And I won't wait the second reading. That way, folks get a chance to look at it. But at least we're making a signal here that we're trying to fix this problem. That's my motion. It'll come back. Is the second good with that? So it'll come back next month. Second's good with it, Ms. Boyd.
So is that the same we're gonna do for, are we gonna do this for all the departments?
We
or
will.
We're gonna open the door for everybody?
We had,
I mean,
this is
I'm
what
good
happened.
with
This is what happened. We had 5 different departments that had some of these types of issues. You remember we brought all those up in the joint meeting.
Yeah.
We addressed all of them, so we put together a half penny to solve some of this. The one that I have had the most time to delve into on the numbers with is Sheriff Craddock.
Yeah.
So, and forgive me here, I should have gotten those numbers out to everybody. We've got them. I did this one first because I was most comfortable with this one. But yes, we do want to solve, we're not going to go and solve everybody, but those 5 who came forward, we want to solve those. So we've only got an extra half penny to play with, so we don't have infinite
And now we
recurring
need,
funds.
well, I'm just looking, maybe we need, because we're gonna put 20% on this whole $500,000. So we don't have any
Well,
money
so
for
this
that.
is why we,
That's why I kinda wanna.
no, I get it. It's just, we're not waiving the second reading. We may adjust it down a little bit to your point. So,
See if somebody can provide us the line item details next month.
so it's just, but we're signaling that we're gonna take care of this, because it's been 2 months, it will have been 2 months at this point if we don't. So, anybody else on that?
We're gonna go forward with it, not knowing.
We're gonna go forward with a certain amount, but then, well, at least this is my motion. We're gonna go forward with it.
Can we?
So you do the second reading,
We can always vote it down.
We can always vote it down in the second reading or change it. Or change
We'll have
it.
more.
Yes, we'll have more, so we can change it. That's right.
But we gotta vote for
We're gonna vote, so I'm not waiving the second reading.
Half penny amount.
It was $500. He said it was a little over that. He
Like
said,
510.
on the commission floor, he said a half penny, and then he said 500 right after it, so I moved the half a penny, but I only changed it for 5, it was like 500,000, some odd amount, but just moved back to 5.
Okay. So, any other discussion on this? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Let me go through the rest of them.
Let's go through,
The next,
you're talking about the
payroll ones.
the payroll ones?
How about you said these are old business here?
Let's do all of these.
Okay.
Let's do all of these, and, because now we're getting ahead. Actually, you know what, go forward with them, just go ahead and go forward with them.
You want to send them all to old business, or that's what you did with the other one?
Yeah, that's
Maybe
fine.
the next-
Send it to old business. Send it to old business. I gotta get Mr. Foss. Go ahead. Okay,
Do you want to vote to send it to old or
let's just, no action, just no action.
We'll stick this in there.
All right.
Item A is the sheriff's department due to an error. There's a small error about things are calculated, but he hasn't done.
No, down here on the, he's on C1.
No action will put it to old business.
He's talking about, he's now moved on to here.
I thought that's what we moved on to, okay?
No, we moved the rest of these to old business.
So,
Okay.
can we clarify where we're at? Are we talking about?
We are
1A?
C1A.
Okay, that's what.
We are C1A.
And we're moving it? This old.
No, we're not moving that.
The rest of B was moved to old business.
Correct.
B was moved on.
Correct.
So going to C1 was a small topographical error. The sheriff's department did adjustments between the line items.
Motion, second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
2 is the library gave a promotional raise to somebody, didn't note it on their sheet, just didn't catch it. And number 2, they wanted to give a small promotional raise to another employee out of their part-time, which is generally something that the committee.
Is this
It's within their totals as transfers.
it's just a transfer? There's no net change?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
1 no.
And then the other was other budgetaries, and that's just non-salary line item transfers for existing projects.
I have a comment.
Ms. Boyd, a motion to discuss?
No.
All in favor? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Boyd, go ahead. 1 no.
2 months ago, we found out that we have a lot of transfers. So 2 months ago, we were told that last year we had 2,400 transfers. I'd like to make a motion that we request from finance to give us some report and pull these numbers together so that we don't just see every month these items just move everywhere. 2,400 transfers. We only have less than 35 departments. I'd like to have a report.
Any others? Has anybody got a second?
It's probably gonna cost you quite a bit to keep up with that, tracking it.
No second on it. Okay.
We'll try to get you something, but, I mean.
Motion to approve, number two, C2.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, moving, on to old business. Ms. Mayor, any update on the City of Galveston here? Okay. ARPA programs, I don't, is anything gonna break here, Ms.
Probably
Mayor?
both of those need to go to old business, but
Keep it
I
on.
think they're gonna discuss the EMS station
Does
tonight.
anybody have any objection with leaving these in old business?
No.
AB.
We just talked item D, we just moved, keeping that into old business, subject to some of the things we talked about. Item E,
It's E was a PO that they were trying to get approved at the end of the
Motion to
year.
group and approve, 1 and 2.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
We have one no, two no's.
I'm not sure on that health department what the item was, I'm sorry.
They have a direct grant access. They could not get the information because the state was still working on it before the budget was approved.
Thank
It's completely flow through, and you've agreed to go by the state salary scale, so it's a
All right, thank you, I just
Uh,
didn't have a detail.
Moving on to new business,
Motion to approve A, 1, 2, and 3.
second, there's a motion and a second, I have one question, are any of these,
Which
are
one?
all these A 1, 2, and 3, are any of these net?
No.
Is there any net change here, any new funds?
Probably new revenues and flow throughs and reserves.
But any new?
Nothing that would affect your MOU.
Okay, got it.
If that's what you're asking.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to reiterate what Ms. Boyd was saying. We have a brand-new budget, and we're already approving all kinds of budget adjustments for the school. I don't understand it.
Some of them are
Carryover
carryovers, a lot of that was.
from last year.
Well, see what happens with schools just like us, they estimate what they have, and then based on changes, they have carryovers, and then the state will approve it.
But we're in the second month of our new budget, I just don't get it.
But you, just like us, when you approve your budget, especially in June, we're still closing the books, so the amounts we have are estimates, they're adjusting to the actuals. If that makes
Can
sense.
we go with 500,000? Yeah.
So,
If that helps, kind of where these are coming from.
So 4A got grouped and approved.
it's motion to group and approve, but we don't.
So,
6A, any other discussion on this?
so,
Ms. Boyd?
I'm sorry, it jumped around so many topics, I'm trying to keep up with one on.
We're at
6A.
6A, there's a motion to group and approve A 1, 2, and 3. Do we have any further discussion, do you have any others on this? All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay, one no, motion carries. Not new B, appropriations carryovers for, FY 2024. This is the same stuff basically here that we're doing for the schools. There's nothing that new.
These are all SWIGs and revenues,
Motion to approve.
and grants that weren't claimed quick enough to get the revenue in.
Item B1A, B,
B1,
B1A, and B. B1A and B.
These, I would ask you to waive the second reading.
All right, motion to approve
Actually,
and waive the second reading. Motion and a second.
questions, since some of these are already on the commission floor, you did not waive the second reading, do you want to go back on some of those?
Well, let's take care of this one first.
Okay.
Any other discussion on this? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
I'm
Okay,
abstaining.
okay, does an abstention mean it can't be waived, so?
So A and B will have to be brought back, so that's the same thing for all these that are, if they're over $5,000, not an emergency, or part of the continuing, then they'll have to come
The
back.
previous ones didn't get unanimous, so there's no reason to try to get, they'll have to come back, because they didn't get unanimous.
So when you go to the commission floor tonight, you probably need to strike most of it off the.
We'll strike some of these, because we didn't get a unanimous vote.
Oh, here's one I want to mention to make sure that Mrs. Boyd understands before we, the carryover in the general fund includes the ARPA. They are time sensitive. We are trying to bid an ambulance, and we were hoping to carry it over and actually buy it because there's a huge lead time, and if we don't tie those down, we're concerned.
Didn't we budget that during the?
The thing is, we did it on continuing appropriation. We were having issues with getting the bids done with the,
I'm gonna do a motion to reconsider so that we can try this again. I was on the prevailing side.
that was on the general fund one. It just,
What
doesn't have
I'm trying to do here is get it unanimous. Do I have a second?
Yeah.
Motion and second. Okay, motion to reconsider. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right, now I'm gonna.
So 6B1A does not need a second now.
It's just got a second.
6 6B, 1A and 6B, 1A and B, all.
So y'all did that to both of them?
We are,
The second
yes,
reading.
now I'm coming back to waive the second reading,
Okay.
because we had one abstention. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so that carries and does not need a second reading.
Can we reiterate also what does and does not have a second reading, well, you know what you need to follow the commission for, so.
So,
pass through. Who's got the second reading, these two right here?
So 6B, 1, all of this has had a second reading, or has waived a second reading.
But none of the rest of them.
The A, 1, 2, 3 was not unanimous, Mr. Klein, I think, and maybe Mrs. Boyd. Regardless, it was not, unanimous, so it can't go forward. Unless there's somebody, I mean, you got.
Again, I'm so sorry, there's so many categories. Which one do you want to reconsider?
We voted to reconsider B1.
Right, those are.
Now, let me,
And
The education one.
the other education ones did not receive a unanimous vote.
Oh, okay.
So,
now, E1 and 2, to make sure, two things, it was a POM process, so it's gonna stop them for another month. And then the health department employees are all the DGA employees, and they will not receive a pay raise for another month if you don't waive it.
Which is that on?
That's out on 5E1 and 2.
5.
E1 and 2, if you don't waive those two.
those were the, I'm sorry, I wouldn't say myself, okay. We're good, okay. So I think we are on 6B2.
Okay.
6B2,
Group approved, I want to group in, a motion to approve items 2 through 6.
I understand we're short,
uh,
but I can't.
so, there's a motion to group and approve items 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Does that have a second? Okay, we have, I want to get in queue, motion in a second. So one, I always just check this, I'm pretty sure I know the answer. None of these are, hold on a minute, so this is indoors. Can you just give a brief synopsis of each of these, Mr. Long?
The first one is where they're court ordered and we have to pay for mental evaluations. This one was on I believe, a felony case.
Okay,
We usually don't have that. We only budget about $1,600.
got it.
We're required to pay it.
Got it.
Next one is one we don't actually have the information, so you probably might want a second reading. That was the one from Gen Ops on the microphones. It had an amount that we put in here, but didn't have an exact number. I've heard just the commission of microphones, but you may want to, we'll be able to send it on forward.
I would,
Was there an amount on?
do we have an amount?
There's an amount that's back there, but
Roughly
it's
$200 on my.
That's exactly, from what I remember.
No, they are.
Yeah.
You've got the amount, but not.
All right, so
Not the number, though. I don't know.
All right, I'm gonna make an amendment just to make that a 200, put a dollar amount on that, but just let's keep going.
For a number of microphones that you want.
Yeah.
It's got a dollar amount, it's not have the number you want.
Yeah, here.
And we just don't know how many they want. Because when we started counting, you've got about. But I think those are only for commissioners with a voting.
So 24,
But what about the chairman to be 25, because he votes also. So 24 sitting there, and I want the chairman to vote.
I would say, so 25 times,
225,
230, 230.
225, I'm gonna
Do we need it for John?
21 voters.
How much?
There's 24 voters, and Mr. Hyde makes 25.
No,
Huh?
24.
I'm sorry, 24 voters, and Mr. Hyde, one of them makes 25.
No.
It'd be like 500.
You don't,
75.
yeah, cause there's,
but you don't want to give up for both spots.
hold on a minute, we're not gonna be penny wise about our time here.
Well, his seat's in the back.
230. Okay, I'm gonna make an amendment on item 3 to appropriate $6,000 toward that.
Okay.
That's my amendment.
Second.
Motion and a
What
second.
did you have to do?
$6,000 toward item 3.
If you don't win up, then we'll come back.
Election Commission, go ahead.
The first one is they buy the air conditioners, they said they needed for an election, there's a memorandum attached. Item B is actually a flow-through HAVA grant.
Okay,
May I ask a question?
go ahead, Ms. Boyd.
So that's a significant amount of money left. I would assume they have spent their HAVA. They're sitting on 8.6 million still.
That's 8,000.
8,000.
I'm sorry, my
Yeah,
eyes are like
8,000.
that. I'm like, what are we gonna do
Any-
with that?
No, it's $8,000. It's carryover combined with the new one.
And so the 45,000 is a flow-through grant, correct?
Yes, for the drug court.
The 265,000 is a flow-through grant.
That is one they're just, I think, requesting to apply for.
That's fine.
They're all requesting to apply
Any
for.
questions on that one?
No.
That was my.
Yeah, okay. Any other discussion on this? All in favor? Any
Wait a
opposed?
second.
Wait a second.
All right, we'll vote on it again. Just a second, go with that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
So that was 2 through 6.
That was 2 through 6. All right, number 7. Go ahead.
Additional funds needed at the Westmore Station resolutions on page 234 through 236. And I believe it's from the mayor. Their concern is that they're going to need additional funds for the EMS station. And you do have additional funds in the ARPA.
Mr. Mayor, is anything going to break if we don't do this tonight?
I just want you aware before you allocate the unallocated funds,
Got it.
we need to hold them back until we get good.
I'd like to, just in the interest of moving forward here.
Unallocated ARPA.
Just let it drop to old
No
business.
vote.
Let it drop to old business.
Same money that the fire department was asking for.
Yeah.
Without objection, I'd like to have, 7A and B, just move that to old business and we handle that next time.
Yeah.
We're just without objection. Highway Department,
Motion approved, number 8.
second,
Waive.
second.
So, can we at least read out loud to the public what we're voting on?
Go ahead, Mr. Vaughn.
He actually sold some equipment. He's wanting to use the funds to buy a new,
So he sold equipment and he wants to spend $68,600 from that.
and it's his restricted highway fund, so it can.
So it's net, Motion, we've already have a motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. The original motion had a waive of the second reading. And although I don't know that we needed on that. Transfer between, so this one, I'd like to go ahead, without objection, moving the reassignment of the grant administrator in the interest of moving along, move that to, old business.
Motion grouping with D and E.
Can I say something about C?
Go ahead, about C.
Two things on C. Since we're not really taking any action, they're under my budget, sitting down in Josh's office with the committee's, recommendation, I would say leave them in Josh's office at this time, and I would like to, when we bring it back up, also discuss the whole history of the position.
That's fine. That's fine.
Because Mr. Isabel wasn't here with the whole changes of position.
I just, in the interest of time, and I don't think, and Mr. Isbell, you and I spoke about this, no need to move on.
Leaving Josh's
Motion grouping for D and E waive needed.
I'll second it.
Neither one of me is second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
What was D&E, what happened to those?
Approved. Motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor? Hey, Beth, can you take that?